All right, let's get into this article here. This one is not quite as lighthearted or interesting as the first one in regards to just someone doing something stupid. This one here comes down to some changes that are going to happen, unfortunately, for the worse for in many cases. So the headline here is Biden admin withholding key funding for schools with hunting and archery programs. So this is from Fox News, published on July 28th. So it goes on to say, Biden administration is leveling a direct attack on hunters' ability to pass down hunting in the newest generations. So essentially what's going on is that any programs that involve either hunting and archery programs, so any honor safety ed or any shooting clubs or archery programs, basically are no longer going to receive any type of funding. Initially when going through this, it looked like that any schools that were holding or having these programs as part of their curriculum, that they were not going to receive any funding at all. It doesn't seem to be the case. It's only that they will not be able to use any of those federal funds for these programs, which again, in many instances, it doesn't seem like a lot of these programs were getting much funding anyways, but in certain school districts and certain programs, they were receiving significant amount of funding. So it just kind of depends on, I guess, really the school and how they're allocating those funds as to how much of an impact it has on in regards to this funding in these programs. So this is part of a reaction from the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. It looks like that the Department of Education has interpreted it as that these programs are not basically, or these programs are in violation or do not support from this law. So they are banning any funding to go to any of these programs. So really the two things to really focus on with this, this news and this article is that it's coming from the Department of Education has made this determination, and is as a result of this, of the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. Now, a Democratic senator from Colorado has basically sent a letter to the Department of Education, basically requesting that they reconsider their decision. So I looked into it a little bit more and kind of got a synopsis of what the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act is. Now, this is actually an 80-page bill. So I didn't read through the whole thing. So I went through Mountpedia to just kind of get synopsis of kind of what the bill was intended for, what the goals are. So we'll cover those here real quick. So, basically some of the key bullet points are expanding background checks for individuals under the age of 21 purchasing firearms, provide $11 billion in mental health services, including increased funding for Medicaid certified community behavioral health clinic programs, increased funding for school-based mental health programs, and investment in pediatric mental health care services. Preventing individuals who've been convicted of domestic violence, misdemeanor, or felony in dating relationships from purchasing firearms for 5 years, providing $750 million for state grants to implement crisis intervention order programs, also referred to as red flag laws, that would allow authorities to confiscate firearms for individuals who have been determined by the court to be sufficient to be a sufficient danger to themselves or others. The grant would also be used to support mental health courts, drug courts, veterans courts, and extreme risk protection orders, providing $2 million in community-based violence prevention initiatives. So a lot of this is just simply provide funding and resources to basically crack down on basically those who would misuse firearms. So basically the senator that wrote the letter kind of summed it up really well as well that these programs are basically good tools to ensure safety of use of firearms and archery equipment and whatnot. These are programs to make people safer with firearms and basically educate them on the dangers associated with. So the fact that they're cutting these programs, or making an effort to cut these programs, does not align with the bill that they say that it's supposed to follow. So it definitely has a little bit of a flavor of that they're trying to cut these programs because they just simply don't like the programs outright. There certainly has been a strong push from the anti-hunting groups to get these programs out of the school systems, and get basically to shut down as much as they can in that regard. So definitely has kind of that feel, but again, it's going to be hard pressed to really get that answer, or to really determine if that's what's going on here, or if they just simply misinterpreted the law. But yeah, you kind of be the judge on that. So yeah, just wanted to highlight that, and something to keep an eye out for. Certainly too, if you are looking to voice your opinion on this, or to basically to have a voice in that regard, there are several outlets, the Safari Club, as well as the Sportsman Alliance. They have links to where you can follow those, to send to your congressperson, to basically give your opinion on the subject matter, and to push back on this if you so choose to do so.